Who dat to the Who Dat Nation? Welcome to the Dome Patrol Podcast, your podcast for the New Orleans Saints here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and this is the recap of the New Orleans Saints versus the San Francisco 49ers. Week 2 of the preseason, where the Saints fall short and lose to the San Francisco 49ers by the score of 16-10. But we all know it's the preseason. Wins and losses are, who cares? You know, who really cares? The games don't count statistically, so it's not about wins and losses. It's more about how did individuals look and did they win their one-on-one matchups, or how do they look stacked up to their backups, you know, in certain position battles and so on and so forth. Who's going to make the team? And, you know, that's what the preseason is all about. So wins and losses doesn't matter. I didn't care that we won last week. It really didn't matter. The fact that we lost this week really didn't matter. But I know there are some who are upset because the Saints lost. Who cares if they lost? This doesn't matter. This doesn't affect you going into the playoffs this season, or helping us in our division division quest, you know. So who cares? Who really cares? What does matter is how did certain players look on Sunday night? How did the quarterbacks look in this battle for the backup position? How did the offensive line hold up? How did the defense hold up? You know, and how did these receivers look? Because I think receiver is slowly becoming my biggest bugaboo on this team. But we'll get to it when we get to it. The Saints ended their month-long California dream this Sunday when they lost to the 49ers, which means now they have returned home, or on their way home to New Orleans for the final preseason game this upcoming Sunday. And you know, it's funny, and it's not funny really, it's really sad. They went to Irvine, California, because they felt that practicing in the heat, this intense heat here in New Orleans, which I get, especially this year, it probably was the smart play, because every day seemed like it was in the triple digits. I think it was 105, 108 on consecutive days for like maybe 10 straight days. And I'm talking, that was the actual temperature, not with the heat index on top of that. So it was hot. So I get it. But they said the injuries, players were getting injured, and, you know, rather go somewhere where there's some better weather and whatnot. Well, they've been getting, actually this season was worse than when they practice here. They've been just slammed with injuries on both sides of the ball at this training camp. And I know there's no control over that. It happens in all of the teams, a lot of the teams. They canceled the joint practice between these two squads last week because of the injuries. And so it's been bad, bro, across the league. It's just been bad. And I think a lot of that is because of the conditioning during the offseason. I don't think these players are conditioning themselves properly. I mean, plus they changed the way they practice. You don't have the two-a-days and all this here like we used to have when I was growing up. You know, even in high school we had two-a-days, but they don't have that no more in the NFL. And I think it's starting to affect these players. The injuries are so fast and furious. It's ridiculous to a degree. But anywho's, back to this past Sunday's game against the 49ers. The first team units had plenty of time. You know, they had plenty of good game film to review on the way back home, because they was on the field, I would say, a good portion of the first half, if not the entire first half. They definitely the entire first quarter for certain. And so there's a lot to look at there. The defensive ends, Carl Granderson and Chase Young, they were madmen. I'm so encouraged with this defensive front, this defensive line. It looks like we got something special. I'm trying to hold back my expectations because, of course, it's preseason. It's only the second game, but we're 2 games in, and that defensive line looks really, really good. I mean, Chase Young was harassing Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy looked horrible when he was out there because Chase Young was back there with him the entire time he was on the field. I think Brock Purdy was 2 for 6. He looked like Derek Carr from last week. He was 2 for 6 for 12 yards. He couldn't get anything going because he was constantly being harassed by either Chase Young or Carl Granderson. It was crazy. And so that was encouraging. Speaking of Derek Carr was better. Derek Carr was better this week. He went on this 16-play, 95-yard drive in I think in the second quarter, or at least it lapped over into the second quarter, that ended with a touchdown drive. I think that was their final drive, and at least the starters' final drive. And we got to see Taysom Hill in a new role, which is weird to say. Taysom Hill in a new role because he plays it all. But he was fullback. He was the halfback. I like that setup. That was real. I'm not going to say innovative, but that was a smart way to use them. Looked good. It actually looked good. Here's the issue I have. I was going to save it to the end, but I can't. I just can't. Derek Carr looked better, and we're going to go over the statistics in a little while. He was leaps and bounds better, especially if you didn't watch the game and just look at the stats. You're going to be like, man, Derek Carr was lighting it up. Not so fast. Those throws were not good throws that he threw. I'm looking at, I would say 3, I know for certain. 3 passes that should have been touchdowns, but he threw them behind receivers. Chris Olave, in particular, on 2 occasions, had to reach behind to make the catch, whereas he had a step on the defender. If he makes that catch in stride with the ball placed in front of him, Chris Olave is still running right now. There was nothing in front of him, and it was just ball placement. And I noticed that last season, and I'm noticing it again. Derek Carr accuracy is not the best. Now, granted, I'm spoiled because we had 20 years of Drew Brees here, but my God, man, this dude, he cannot hit these players. He has no chemistry with these players, and it's sad. It's been 2 years, but going into year 2, and you have no chemistry with these players. Very upsetting and very discouraging, to be honest with you. A couple of those passes could have been picked off. Like I said, they look better. The Chris Olave bailed him out of a lot of mistakes there. And dare I say, the offensive line held up. The offensive line, at least the starting offensive line, held up for the most part. Now, keep in mind, San Francisco, Bosa didn't play. Fred Warner didn't play. So that you gotta take this with a grain of salt. I would love to cry from the mountaintops that, all right, they got it together on the old line, but I mean, you got to look beyond. You got to look in that gray area. Just don't look at the black and white. You also got to look at that little gray area and know the real. No, their best players didn't play, as far as the 49ers are concerned. But despite all that, they still held up. Now, behind our starting line, you think our starting offensive line is struggling? My God, the number 2s and the 3s are even worse. They are horrible. Poor Spencer Rattler and Jake Hader. This was a long night for those 2 fellas. I mean, none of them could get any separation in this little battle for the backup job here. I felt bad for them dudes. I was hoping to see them get some opportunities with the ones, and I know why. I know why. Deep in my soul, I don't know for a fact. I don't have any inside sources, but Dennis Allen isn't going to allow Spencer Rattner or Jake Hayner to play with the ones and open up a door for a quarterback controversy. He's not going to do that, because if those guys come in and outperform Derek Carr, it's going to be a problem, because you're going to have to address the fact, why are you starting Derek Carr? Why is Derek Carr the starter when clearly he's not the best man for the job? So he's not even going to open that door. So I get it, but at the same time, you want to give these guys a chance. Give them a chance to prove me wrong. Maybe they'll get out there and look horrible. And you'll be justified in your decision. But you're not confident enough, you being Dennis Allen, not confident enough to do that. Because deep down, those guys are better. Those guys are better. Despite the fact they weren't the best out there today, or last night, I should say. Let's go over the stats of this game, starting with the quarterback, since we were already there. The leading passer for the New Orleans Saints was Jake Hayter. He was 7 for 13 for 76 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Coming in second is Derek Carr. He was 7 for 9 for 47 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Spencer Rattler was 4 for 8 for 27 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Yeah, those numbers, at least for Carr, is a little deceiving, I feel. You went on a 97-yard or 96-yard drive, and you only had 47 yards total. It says a lot, but it does say a lot for the offense. Another point I wanted to get into before I had jumped into the statistics was the offense. I did notice that the offense kind of opened up a little bit more as far as the playbook is concerned. We got a little taste of what Clint Kubiak is going to bring to the table here, and I'm encouraged by that. I wanted to make that point. I am truly encouraged by that, because he looks like to put it plainly, it looks like the exact same offense in Frisco. It looks like that's the offense they're going to run. I was unsure. I kind of figured that's the offense he's going to bring, but I wasn't 100% certain that was the offense he was going to bring. I thought maybe he'll come in and do something, put his little hot sauce on it, but in his bones, if you cut to the bone of it, it's the same offense, and that's fine. My issue is, I'm not encouraged with the skill position players that we have that we can run it. Now, keep in mind, we didn't have Alvin Kamara this past Sunday, and I think he's tailor-made for this type of offense, but he didn't play, so we didn't get to see him in this offense, this revamped offense. So I still can't get a real good gauge on how this offense will look. But overall, I am encouraged. To see motion. My God, people, it was motion. There was zone reads. There was zone run blitzes. Run plays and all this here. I was like, man, this is new. This is fresh. It felt good, and the plays worked. That's what made me feel good. Now, granted, they were doing that against the 2s and the 3s of the 49ers defense, but yet and still, I was encouraged. I was really encouraged. For the 49ers, their leading passer was Joshua Dobbs, and we all know who Joshua Dobbs is. He tore the Saints up last year when he played for, what's that, Minnesota? I forgot, because he was on like 4 different teams last year. he was bouncing around, and everywhere he went, he was winning. But he always got cut, and somebody picked him up, and he'll win a couple of games and then get cut and go. It's ridiculous. But now he's in an offense that I think is perfect for him. Um, Brock Purdy needs to watch out because Joshua Dobbs should be a starter. He's a starting quarterback. He was 12 for 21 for 133 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. He ran for one though. Uh, I bring up Dobbs because his numbers are equal to what the Saints total in all three of our quarterbacks had this past Sunday. All three quarterbacks for the Saints totaled up to 18 for 13 for 136 yards. And Joshua Dobbs was 12 for 21 for 133 yards. So one man, one man. And that was a heck of a drive he conducted at the end of the half there for the 49ers. But like I said, I didn't even get mad at the defense because technically he's a starting quarterback against our number twos or threes, whatever we are, whatever we had out there at the time. But I just found that interesting. Rushing the ball, our leading rusher Sunday was Jordan Mims. He had 10 carries for 36 yards. Coming in second is Jamal Williams, 5 carries for 32 yards. James Robinson, 5 carries for 27 yards. Taysom Hill, 5 carries for 21 yards and a touchdown. Like I said, there was no Alvin Kamara Sunday, but I don't know. Or let's not forget about Kendrick Miller. We don't know what the status is with him, but this is a, how can I put this, man? I'm not happy with the running back room. After Kamara, I'm not encouraged by nobody. Don't get me wrong, Jordan Mills, he ran the ball pretty well. I'm not upset at that. He looked pretty decent. Even Jamal Williams yesterday, I think he averaged like 6 yards a carry. And so I'm not mad at that, but that's like the first time we saw that out of Jamal Williams, you know? James Robinson looked good. I think he averaged 5.3 yards a carry or something like that. That's all fine and good. My issue is we're not going to keep all these running backs because Taysom Hill not going nowhere. That's cemented. So you have him. Will we keep Robinson? I don't know. And I like Robinson. Robinson played for Jacksonville, I believe, and he's a decent running back. Nobody I would say will be my starting running back, but he's a decent running back to back up. He's a different style. He's that bruiser. Jamal Williams, to be honest with you, when the Saints made that signing, I didn't understand it then, and I definitely don't understand it now. It makes no sense why we picked him up. And I have no issue with Jamal Williams. I like Jamal Williams, but last season left a bitter taste in my mouth. This dude did nothing. He did absolutely nothing. Now, I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Maybe he can fit in this offense as well. This seems to be a run-friendly offense, so maybe he can flourish here. We'll see. And he isn't going in anywhere either. And so the real battle is between Jordan Mims, and James Robertson. I think those are your two battling it out to keep a spot because we're not going to keep a lot of running backs on the active roster. And so we shall see. And it could be both of them. Who knows? It honestly could be both of them. And there's another running back too, Jacoby Kabodi. He also is on the team. I think he had 10 yards rushing on Sunday. So they're not keeping 6 running backs. 7 if you count Alvin Kamara. Well, I'm sorry, 8 with Alvin Kamara and Kendrick Miller. So yeah. There's going to be a lot of cuts there. Moving over to receiver, this is where I was talking about to start the show. The receivers they're scaring me because aside from Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed, who didn't play, I think he's dealing with a injury. I forgot what they said, but I don't see anybody else that gives me an ounce of encouragement. I like A.T. Perry, but he's not wowing me. Nobody is wowing me to like, okay, that's our number 3 receiver. The leading receiver from Sunday was Mason Fairchild. 3 catches for 31 yards. Chris Olave was second with 3 catches for 26 yards. A.T. Perry, 2 catches for 24 yards. Bud Means, 2 catches for 16 yards. Kevin Austin Jr., 1 catch for 12 yards. James Robinson, the running back, 2 catches for 12 yards. It was just sporadic there, and I'm just not encouraged with this receiving core. And I honestly thought that we were gonna, it was gonna be a real battle there. That we had a lot, because we got a lot of receivers in camp here. There's gonna be a lot of cuts in that receiving room, and so I'm not looking for them to a lot of these players to make the team, especially if you factor in the fact they haven't wowed me. And if they're not wowing me, I know they're not wowing the Saints staff. Now, in practice, they could be killing it in practice. I know we haven't seen them yet, but they talk so highly of this. Oh my God, what's his name? The guy from Yale. I always forget his name, but they've been speaking highly of him since they got him. The rookie. Oh my God. Anyways, they speak highly of him. He got hurt, but I don't see it. I just don't see it from anybody else. I would keep A.T. Perry. You know, A.T. Perry is a big target. He can catch. You know, I like A.T. Perry. He showed me last year that he is worthy to be on this team. Aside from that, nobody else sticks out. You know, you got Cedric Wilson Jr. He hasn't set the world on fire. The St. Brown gentleman, he hasn't done anything to set the world on fire. Puka Nakua's brother, I don't even think he played yesterday. And so I don't know what's up with that. I guess he's hurt too. And so I don't know. I don't know. We shall see. There's still one more preseason game to go. So maybe they're loading up, getting ready for that for that final stretch. We shall see. Defensively, like I said, this team looks pretty solid. They're pretty solid as far as the starters are concerned. I'm not going to go through the stats of the defense, but I did like what I saw from a lot of players in our second and third teams. The cornerback, Rico Payton, I like that. I like what I saw out of him. He has, I'm not going to say it, but it's something. He just got it. You know, he fits in like a glove. We saw Kool-Aid McKinsley leave out with a knee injury. Thank God they came out and reported that it's nothing serious. It's nothing major. I hope not. I pray that he's healthy going forward. But, yeah, I was encouraged by a lot of the youngsters there. Isaac Forsky, I saw him in the game. He's another one of those picks that we picked that just hasn't panned out. And look, like I said, it's a preseason game, but man, you need to show your worth, and he hasn't shown me nothing. Christian Boyd, who I was hyped up that we picked, and hasn't really turned that corner yet. I saw he went down in the game, had to be helped off the field. Hope he's all right as well. Man, these injuries, bro, they are really setting us back. But as far as the defense is concerned, I like what I see up front. I'm going to keep screaming that from the mountaintop. Reason being, when you have Chase Young and you have Carl Granderson, and of course, you still got to factor in Cam Jordan, that opens up so much more for Brian Bresee and Cam Jordan. If you know, moving him to the inside. I saw a lot of moving Cam Jordan to the inside, which is smart, you know, especially at this point in his career. Very smart, because all the attention is going to be drawn on Chase Young. That's where all the attention is going to go. And that can do nothing but help your other members on that defensive line. All they got to do is beat their one-on-ones. Willie Gay Jr. is proven to be a nice pickup, and he looks ready for prime time. I mean, the man won 2 Super Bowls, so he he knows a thing or two about a thing or two. Will Harris is he fits right in to this secondary. He's the reason why I didn't care about signing Justin Simmons, but I still didn't want Justin Simmons to go to Atlanta. So that was the only reason I wanted Justin Simmons to be signed by the Saints. I didn't want him to go somewhere where he can hurt us, and he ended up going somewhere that can hurt us. But we'll see. We'll see. It is Atlanta, by the way. We're going to close it out with team stats. The team stats: first downs, Saints had 19 first downs to the 49ers 20. Total plays, Saints ran 67 plays, and the 49ers ran 67 plays. Total yardage, the 49ers had 315 yards, and the Saints had 271. Total drives, both teams had 10 total drives. Yards per play, Saints had 4 yards per play to the 49ers 4.7 yards per play. Passing, 49ers had 222 yards passing to the Saints 137. Rushing, Saints had 134 yards rushing to the 49ers 93. Red zone, Saints were 1-1 in the red zone. 49ers were 1 of 3. Penalties, Saints had 5 penalties for 39 yards. 49ers had 7 penalties for 48 yards. Saints had 1 turnover. That was that fumble by Spencer Rattler after what was that running back? I forgot which running back. I think it was Robertson that missed it. I could be wrong. If it's not him, I apologize. But missed the block on the blitz, and old boy came free and hit Spencer Rattler, causing him to fumble the ball. That was the 1 turnover in this game. And time of possession, 49ers had the ball for 30 minutes and 31 seconds to the Saints 29 minutes and 29 seconds. Yeah, this was a interesting game. It wasn't bad. It was actually a good game. It was a defensive battle. It had some exciting plays. It's still not the game that I'm looking for. Whereas I can see that, okay, the Saints they've learned from their errors from the past couple of seasons, and it looks like this is a different team. I haven't gotten that feel yet, and I'm kind of worried about that, to be 100% honest with you, because the season is 2 weeks away. The clock's ticking, and so we don't have much time to kind of turn my head in that direction. But they haven't really shown me that they're a different team. It looks like it's the same old rigmarole for the past 2 seasons. But I pray that I'm wrong. I would love to know, what do you think of this week 2 matchup in the preseason against the 49ers? What did you take away? Is it the defense performance? Is it the our starters on offense performance, Derek Carr or whatever? Who stuck out to you? I would love to know. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also leave comments on all of my social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel on YouTube and like this video if you don't mind. Also, don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the Dawn Patrol podcast, your podcast for the New Orleans Saints. Look, I enjoy the fact that football is back. I'm happy to watch some Saints football on television, but I didn't have my fill with this preseason. I know we only got 1 more to go, but I'm ready for some real football. I'm ready for some football that counts, that matters, that's going to make a difference in my life. I'm ready for the regular season. Let's get through this one more time next Sunday as the Saints will host the Tennessee Titans in the Dome, August the 25th, 12 noon. Can't wait. Oh, man, because I know after that game hits 4 zeros on the clock, we are off to the regular season. Oh, my God. I am so excited for this. I hope and pray that the remainder of this offseason, or this training camp, I should say, that this team can stay healthy, that we can get some players back, because these injuries are mounting up and it's getting kind of worrisome, to be 100% honest with you. I hope they can stay healthy going forward. Can't wait to speak to you later on this week when we preview the Saints versus the Titans in the Dome. And then after that game goes final, we will be recapping the final preseason game all this weekend. Be on the lookout for that. But until then, I'm going to be screaming every day from the top of my lungs, "Who dat?"